Automate your finances. Set up a system that works, turn on the autopilot, and do nothing. It's a great system and one that I believe in for running your personal finances. But what if doing nothing is costing you money? If you're not regularly checking in and reviewing your finances once that system is set up, then it could be the case for you. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about 5 things that you could potentially be overlooking if you have your finances set up on autopilot. And these are things that could be saving you money in the long run. Let's get right into it. If you're new here, my name is Jonny. I'm originally from the UK, but I've been living and working in Spain for the past 4.5 years. I'm passionate about personal finance. It's what this channel originally started out as, and I still do the odd personal finance video from time to time. I believe in managing your finances effectively. I believe in wealth building. And whilst these things that I'm going to talk through in this video might not necessarily save big money in the short term, but if you keep on top of these things over the long run, with the savings that you could generate on a monthly basis, then invested, it could potentially change your financial future. So let's get right into the tips. Now, number 1 is a common one that I'm sure a lot of you have heard many a time, and that is to cancel unwanted or unneeded subscriptions. I consider myself to be pretty good at this. Like, I don't have that many subscriptions. I know the ones that I have, like Spotify, like Netflix, and these are services that I use on a regular basis, so I know I'm getting my money's worth. That said, I'm a human being. I'm not immune to making financial mistakes, and it has happened in the past where I have forgot to cancel perhaps a PlayStation subscription or a learning platform subscription where I've been signed up and I've just completely forgotten about it. And I think that's one of the easiest traps to fall into, is these annual subscriptions where you pay once, after 2 or 3 months, you might stop using the service, but you forget that you've got that auto renew turned on, and then a year comes around and all of a sudden 100 euros, 100 pounds, $100 gone from your bank account, and you're sat there thinking, man, I wish I'd cancelled that subscription. So to avoid becoming a victim of this, what I often do is I'll immediately turn off auto renew. I'll cancel any trial subscriptions kind of in the moment, as long as I don't lose the perks in that moment. Alternatively, if I can't do one of those things, I'll set up a reminder for myself in advance of the renew date, so I can give myself the chance to think about, do I want to continue with the subscription? And when deciding on renewing a subscription, whether it's one that, I pay on a monthly basis, like a Spotify or a Netflix, or if it's one that, renews annually, like was the case with PlayStation, for example, there are a few things I ask myself to determine if I should continue with the subscription or not. First, I'll ask myself, am I using this subscription? Like, am I getting my money's worth? Am I signed up for PlayStation Online, but not really playing the PlayStation online or at all for that matter? So in which case, I'm not using that subscription. I'm not making use of it. I'm not getting my money's worth. Should I be using this subscription is a question that I also ask myself. Like, is it going to bring value to my life? I'm going to kind of ignore the hustle culture mentality here, which is like, things like Netflix, things like PlayStation are a waste of money, because, value in your life can be sitting down, playing PlayStation, having fun, or sitting down, watching a movie, watching series on Netflix and getting enjoyment out of it. That's bringing value, it's bringing enjoyment, it's bringing happiness. And if that's what you need in your life, if that's what you want out of your life, then great. I ask myself as well, am I using all the features of this subscription? Let's say, for example, I'm on the more expensive plan of Netflix, where I have access across multiple screens and I have HD viewing and no ads, for example. But what if I only watch Netflix on my TV and I'm not bothered by adverts and there's no other users in my Netflix account? And unless I really want to watch movies and series in HD, does it really make sense for me to pay $5, £5, €5 more per month to watch Netflix? Probably not. I can still get almost the same enjoyment out of Netflix on that cheaper plan and save my money and invest it or do whatever with it. And then the last question I ask myself is, if I stop this subscription today, am I going to notice a difference in my life? Am I going to be missing something in my life that I had and enjoyed and wanted that I'm no longer going to have? Like PlayStation, for example. Yes, I enjoyed playing on the PlayStation. I enjoy PlayStation Online, but I rarely get the chance to sit down and play on the PlayStation. So I'm probably not going to notice that much of a difference. Moving on to the next tip, and not only should you be reviewing your subscriptions on a monthly basis, but also your contracts, your utility bills, for example, like your electricity or internet bill. This actually happened to me about a week, 2 weeks ago, when I was looking through my electricity bill. I was getting tired of paying, crazy amounts of money every month for what I felt wasn't a large amount of electricity consumption. And so I went onto like a price comparison website here in Spain, which looks at, the price of, what you're paying for your electricity right now, if you put the same consumption in what you could be paying somewhere else. Turns out for a long time that I've perhaps been paying 50% more than I could have been paying just by not staying on top of that electricity bill and not seeking out an alternative, cheaper provider. And it's really not that difficult to change in Spain as well. You know, some of these price comparison websites, with one phone call, they take care of all of the switching for you at no cost to you. And then, you know, the next day or whenever the contract period renews, you're with your new supplier and you're paying less. So I should see some savings on my electricity going forward, but I was definitely kicking myself knowing that I could have been saving that money for quite a while probably. Same with the internet as well. I recently noticed what I believe to be a deterioration in my internet quality. It's a service that I've had for 3 years almost, and thinking about, you know, do I need to change my internet? And again, looking at the prices, the offers that are out there on the market, there are similar offers that are slightly cheaper than my current offer. Might only be like €5 or so on a monthly basis difference, if that, but imagine that over the course of 3 years in the future, you know, it's just over €200 that I could potentially be saving in the long term just by, you know, checking that I am with the most competitive internet provider. The next tip is something that I started doing about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I have to admit it was primarily for health and general organization purposes, which was strict meal planning and building my shopping list based on that meal planning. As I say, I wanted to be more conscious about what I was eating. I wanted to try and clean up my diet a little bit and have some kind of structure to it in terms of the timing that I eat at what time in the day, etc., etc. But a positive side effect that I've noticed since doing that is that I haven't spent as much money on grocery shopping as I would normally. Because before, you know, I'd go to the supermarket, I'd just, you know, throw in a chocolate bar there, throw in a cheeky dessert, you know, throw in a pizza, throw in a bag of chicken tenders, and then I got my cheat meal for the week, and the cheat meal ended up being a few cheat meals a week, let's say. And then the bananas or the broccoli or the apples that I bought, you know, would just go bad, and then I'd get to a point where I was like, nah, I'm not gonna eat these because they've gone bad. And so effectively wasting food and wasting money. But by having a meal plan, I'm now able to build a shopping list precisely based around that meal plan. I know exactly what I'm going to eat, I know what quantities I need, and I'm not going to buy in excess, and as a result less food is getting wasted. I'm not buying stuff I don't need anymore because I'm not thinking about, oh well, what if I get hungry in the afternoon, or what if I feel like a chocolate bar at this time, because I know I've got my snack planned out, I've got my dinner, my desserts planned out. And this definitely works best with like fresh fruit and vegetables, because even though, you know, let's say the price per kilo or the price per unit of fruit or veg might be slightly higher at the supermarket right close to my house rather than when I go to my favorite one where it's cheaper, probably the cost overall ends up being less because I'm not buying in excess and I'm not throwing so much away. That said, as I move on to number 4, when it comes to goods like this, I do still buy in bulk. I eat a lot of chicken, and as you may have seen in some of my past videos on Spanish supermarkets, the chicken that I buy is like chicken breast, and it comes as like multiple chicken breasts packaged in one to make up like a whole kilo. Obviously eating 1 kilo of chicken breasts in a single meal would be a bit much. So what I do is I'll bag these chicken breasts up, I'll put them in the freezer, and I'll date them so that when I buy my kilo of chicken, it doesn't just do me for an individual meal, it does me for multiple meals. And that chicken is not going to go off because it's in the freezer. Or when I buy almond milk or rice or pasta, for example, which has a relatively good shelf life as well, then of course I'll consider buying in bulk if, you know, the price is right and maybe there's an offer on, or if I'm at the place where, you know, the price per kilo is the lowest, because the risk of those goods getting thrown away is much less than the risk of a banana or an apple getting thrown away because it's gone off. That said, I do still keep in mind my meal plan when it comes to these non-perishable goods. I'll maybe write the quantities down that I need rather than before where I just go like 5 bags of rice, let's get them in the trolley. So buying in bulk but keeping control. And finally, a bonus one for the digital nomads, the remote workers, the expats out there who may be watching this. You maybe have transactions in multiple different currencies in your monthly budget. And my tip here is to keep an eye on the exchange rate between one currency and the next. Let's take my situation for example. So I work in Spain, I'm paid in euros, but I have a UK student loan which I have to pay in pounds. Now, generally speaking, the pound to euro exchange rate is fairly stable, but every once in a while something happens where the pound gets stronger against the euro or vice versa. And it's in these moments where it may be more favorable or less favorable to change money from euros to pounds to pay off my student loan. Let's say, for example, 1 month the pound to euro exchange rate is that 1 euro equals 86 pence. But then the next month that exchange rate goes from 1 euro equals 90 pence. That means that in the second month, when I convert euros to pounds, I get more pounds than I did the month before. And this might be an instance where I think, oh, this is a good moment to change euros to pounds. Let me convert a load of euros over to pounds, keep them over there. And that way I essentially get more pounds for less euros, and it overall works out cheaper for me in euros. The challenges with this, of course, are that one, exchange rate movements are very difficult to foresee and to predict coming. So you might think, the rate is stable and then all of a sudden it goes up or down, and it could be a bad thing for you, like you never know. The second thing is that for this to work as well, you do probably need to have a decent bit of cash or a decent bit of savings on the side where it makes it worthwhile to do that. Because let's make up a number, let's say that payment is £100 per month. If I don't have like at least 400 or 500 euros on hand to exchange at the time when the exchange rate's favorable, then I'm not really going to get the benefits of it. Yes, it might be that 1 month, okay, I exchange 100 euros and I got a good rate that month, but then over the long term, it's going to be offset because, that rate might have gone up or down, and I'm only exchanging 100 euros. So for those of you who are able to take advantage of this right away, great. If that's not necessarily you, then do nevertheless keep an eye on the exchange rate and think about whether it'd be worth keeping some money aside for if the exchange rate becomes more favorable for you in the future. Regardless of whether that is or isn't feasible for you, you should definitely check out Wise, which is a multi-currency platform which allows you to exchange between multiple different currencies, for example euros and pounds, at the most competitive rates. I've been using Wise for a very long time now. You'll have seen that I've talked about it in a lot of the different travel videos that I've done, and it also helps me on a daily basis when it comes to paying for goods and services in different countries that may be denoted in different currencies. So if you're interested in finding out more about Wise, then do check out my link in the video description. Alright guys, so I hope you found this video helpful and informative, and I hope that it helps you to save a few euros, a few pounds, a few dollars every month that you can then use to put towards your savings or your other financial goals. Leave a comment and let me know which steps you're going to be taking to improve your personal finances after watching this video. And if you like this video and you're ready to put those savings to work and looking to find out more about where you can put them to work, then be sure to check out my videos about Raisin, which is a high interest savings platform based in Europe. And you can also check out my video on the best investing platforms for Europeans. Till next time, I'll see you in the next one, and let's get this money.